Good morning, gentlemen, and happy Thursday. Welcome to week 7 of the NFL and of the League of Legends and Jesse. I apologize for neglecting you all for, I believe it's been 3 weeks now. I've been very busy, but that's not an excuse. As your commissioner, I thrive and pride on being better than average commissioners, and I know part of that is not neglecting you for such a period of time. Some things just to mention very briefly here. Once again, our podcast, our video podcast, continues to be brought to you by the Tesler, Adler, and Whalen law firm. They sent in a check. It had been a while, but it means a lot to us that they continue to support the podcast. Another sponsor is actually All Natural Juices. There are various brands. IQ Juice is the name. You can get, if you would like to cleanse, there's a detox. There's also a fat burner. But so if you're interested in, doing good things for your body, something to look into there. These are things that the athletes who we employ in our fantasy teams as our slaves, something that they do. Some things that have happened since the last podcast, which has been a while since our last video podcast, and also some things I've realized and taking a look at the standings here. It's really been a heavily contested season. Really, everyone's still alive. Pat's in a little more trouble, but it's just a very, very competitive league this year. Some things since the last podcast episode, there have been Adam Brandt has lost every match that I have not done a preview, and Trampus's team as well as the Butt Buddies have not been defeated. So something's got to give there. Something's got to give there. Since the last episode, again, it has been 3 weeks. Some things that I've realized, and these are important to consider moving forward this fantasy season, is number one is the running backs are back. And by that I mean they were not drafted as highly. Everybody was going receiver, receiver, receiver. For those who went running back, they were rewarded because we have David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, DeMarco Murray, and LaShawn McCoy, who have outscored the number one receiver in Julio Jones. And a lot of other running backs who are right there toe-in-toe with the Antonio Browns and the A.J. Greens of the world as well. So the running backs are back. Some other realizations in the last 3 weeks. The only bigger joke than Odell Beckham is Colin Kaepernick. So, we have crazy things going on. Just play football. Just play football. Stop jacking around. But so maybe I'm the only one who's bothered by these behaviors. But at receiver, we have the usual suspects. And then we have Terrell Pryor as the overall number 10 wide receiver so far on this season. Top quarterbacks, we look at it, and it's unbelievable that Matty Ice, can he get the nickname back? That's the question. Matt Ryan is the number 1 quarterback. Big Ben is number 2. He's out for a while. Matthew Stafford is number 3. And then we get into the Drew Breeses and things from there going forward. We have some rising quarterbacks in Marcus Mariota and Dak Prescott. Blake Bortles is the number 18 quarterback. So slow your roll there on the Blake Bortles Express, because we know a lot of what he did last year was when they were down 30. And he just isn't that good. Your 26th ranked total points quarterback is Russell Wilson. Unbelievable. By the way, Blake Bortles is 3 points ahead of Case Keenum at quarterback 18. Tight end is a complete wasteland except for Greg Olsen and obviously Gronk. Your number 5 tight end, Colby Fleener, who I know well, is number 5 despite weeks of 0.6, 2.9, and 1.9 scoring weeks. So once you get past those 2 initial tight ends, good luck. This is the year, one note that I made here, the defenses actually matter. There are only 7 defenses averaging more than 8 points a game, and most of those are up around 10, 11. The Vikings are averaging 18 fantasy points a week. That's a difference maker. Adam Vinatieri from the kicker position, the only good thing going on in Indianapolis this year. He continues to be ageless and just love the kicking game in Indianapolis. Some other things to mention as before we take a look at the preview here is a couple listeners to this show, Jason Stuffle and Jesse Shawver, are going with their wives to the Dominican Republic here this weekend, and certainly our prayers are with them. But some things that I wanted to inform everyone of, for those of you who are not aware, Dominican is actually the second largest Caribbean nation. It's only behind Cuba is the only one. I think it was discovered by Christopher Columbus, but I'm not entirely sure there. Uh, what they boast some things. They boast year-round golf courses. I don't think the boys are allowed to take their clubs. We'll leave it at that. Jason and Jesse. Some other things. They actually have a high mountain peak. Maybe they will scale it. It's called the Pico Duarte. There is a Monte Cristi Bay. Maybe they'll jump into it. These are options that they have. Some other things that we need to be thinking of weather-wise. What are they going to have? And I looked at the advanced forecast, and it's looking like 85 is a high and around 76 is a low with thunderstorms every day. Also, the sun will rise at 6:30, between 6:30 and 6:31 while they're visiting, which actually, those of you who are not aware, they're on the same time zone as we in the Eastern time zone. So there's some things to think about there. One caution to throw into the wind. Cubans are always trying to get into the Dominican Republic. So guys, just be careful. Maybe just stay on the resort unless you're going and jumping off peaks into the water, which certainly would be an enjoyable and lovely activity. Check out the Monte Cristi Bay if you can. Heard it's lovely. And just enjoy your vacation, guys. Try not to get too sunburned, and we look forward to hearing the stories of your adventures with your wives on your vacation. I truly mean that from my heart. That I hope you have a wonderful time. So let's go ahead and take a look, guys, this week at our preview. Okay. First up here we have J Top, J Bottom. And I'm actually against J, so that's interesting. Lollipop Guild here. Big week for him. A big week for me. Really, every week that I can continue to win takes the pressure off my team. Trampus Whalen has quoted as saying, "My team is crap," and he's very offended. But I told him, as I've said, I'm just living off of Antonio Brown and David Johnson. Certainly, Antonio's floor is coming down a little bit. Made a note here. The one thing I want to discuss in this matchup is that whether you would like to agree or not, that both of these managers have managed their teams this season. So, from my perspective, I'm not loaded with top to bottom talent, but I found a way to piece in the right aspects of my team to surround those studs. And weekly my team's been very, very consistent. Because of this, with Jason, he's been very, very injury riddled. Jamal Charles still not really getting out there. Both his other running backs who he kept, I believe, have combined for 2 touchdowns, and that was only because Lamar Miller scored 2 last week. Doug Martin really yet to play, and you see, despite this, he's still 3-3. So he's hanging in there. He's got a good matchup with Alshon tonight on Thursday night that certainly will be interesting to take a look at. But it's a big game for both of us this week. I wish Jason at least some luck. It's fair. Here we have Brady's boys against Luckbox. Okay. And here we have Adam's team, Adam Foster's team. Luckbox is starting to surge a little bit. I believe he was 0-3, and he's starting to play a little bit better. He was unfortunate enough to be up against my team that just went off last week. David Johnson was good at football, but this looks like it's going to be a good one, guys. Just some things to kind of take a look at. Foster's hurt by what I like to call injuries. Okay, one of those is certainly Blake Bortles, who is hurting Allen Robinson. Another, we have Aaron Rodgers. Just not that good. I've said for 2 or 3 years, people say at his peak, he's the best in the game. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. So, Adam's team, a little bit banged up from that perspective. Taking a look at what Trampus has, I do anticipate one thing that will be important in this matchup. I think 3 running backs, Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Anderson, and Melvin Gordon will all perform below their projections. So that's something to kind of keep in mind here when you see these high projected totals. But I tell you what, you look at this, and I just I like Trampus's matchups. Again, that's not the only important thing in fantasy football. When you go top to bottom and you see Tom Brady who's going to run the score up on everyone, you see Melvin Gordon. Maybe not a super easy matchup with Atlanta, but T.Y. Hilton is the guy that Luck's going to. You have Julio Jones at home. You have Delaney Walker against the Colts, and then you have Marvin Jones. The one thing that if I could advise Trampus to do, if he could find a way to pair Tom Brady with someone, and I don't know how he'd go about doing that, but his team would go from maybe the most talented in the league to even more disgusting. But I do like Trampus in this matchup. I would say if he does lose, it will be because of some of those over-projected players. and perhaps Adam, who I do very much like, that he is playing both the Atlanta running backs. That can always be a wild card. Here we have Simply Simple Victory. Again, Tyler's team named after his wife's blog. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Again, Simply Stupid team name. We have Tyler against Luke. Good friend of mine against my brother. Luke, if you scroll down, has 7 players, count them, hurt or on bye. He is going to struggle to even put a team out there this week. Looking at Ty's team, I don't like Drew Brees on the road. I've said this for years, but it's coming very much into fruition this year. I don't like Brees and Cooks on the road this week, so maybe that could give Luke a little bit more of a chance. But I tell you what, here's what I like, is I look down this, we're going to have Larry Fitzgerald. That's not necessarily a passing team. We saw it Monday night. They fed the beast. Okay? We have, Cooks. We have the Saints. We have Gurley not doing much. He's also in London. We have Crowell in a catch-up game, probably at Cincy. I'm actually going to make this my upset of the week. Excuse me. Not making it the lock of the week. That would be obnoxious. I like Luke's team this week to pull the upset based on the fact that I don't like Tyler's matchups. I think they're very, very difficult. Here we have Shake and Bake. Jesse's team against the Butt Buddies, a team that really has found itself. He's rostering 3 quarterbacks, and they all, when have good matchups, can just explode on people. So I'm taking a look at this here. This, first of all, is the lock of the week, and it's in Danny's and Ryan's favor here. What you have is you have Danny and Ryan's team. You look top to bottom, and these are guys who score touchdowns. And I know I don't hate Jesse's team, but just looking at it now, DeMarco Murray probably going to get his, but Brandon Marshall is now in a bad quarterback situation. AJ Green, I certainly like him. I like AJ Green very much in DFS this week too. If you're going to pay up for a receiver, he's your guy to play. But Jordan Reed probably not going to play. Jarvis Landry allergic to the end zone, and Carson Palmer against Seattle, just not something that I like right now. So I think, and Jesse, I know, tried to make a roster move for a quarterback yesterday. I think this is a tough spot for Jesse's team. I think there will be better weeks for him, and I do think he's a playoff team. But this matchup, I just think the Butt Buddies are too good for Jesse to overcome. So I will make it my lock of the week. One interesting strategy talking DFS, notice the Butt Buddies have LeGarrette Blount. Not opposed to paying LeGarrette Blount $7,100 and James White $6,100 on FanDuel. Interesting tournament format. The Patriots are going to try to run it up. If they get 3 touchdowns, could be a big win. Here we have Pat against Gray, and we could call this it's not a great matchup, just put it that way. But I tell you what, I like Pat this week. I think what Pat's done is honorable. He is not having a good year, but he's managing his team. You look at Hunter Henry, you look at Cameron Meredith, a guy I love tonight, $5,900 on FanDuel. Play him in your lineup. Don't play Alshon. I like Cam Meredith in that matchup. But again, Pat has managed his team this year. And you look at Gray, he's just not getting what he needs from Aaron Rodgers. We'll see tonight. Aaron Rodgers could go off there in Lambeau, but I just don't see it. I respect Patrick. He has attempted to overcome some adversity. And he's managing his team. He's continuing to play despite having kind of a tough season. Here we have the Mighty Midgets against Dab on him. My boom of the week, my boom pick of the week is Deshaun Jackson. I just think he's so overdue. He's so overdue to find a way to make a big play. And again, it's tough to predict Deshaun, but he's a guy that, again, if you can get him in the right spot in a FanDuel lineup, you can fit him. Not totally against that. I think this is a tough matchup for Adam, but you do have Michael without Cam Newton on his bye week. If Michael can win this week, it's going to be a good week for him. I hate playing 2 Saints on the road, and again, that factors into Michael's team as well as Doug Baldwin. Probably going to see a lot of some Peterson coverage there. Certainly don't like that. This is a tough one to call, and I'm just going to take, because of the name exposure we have and what we know about Dab on him, I'm going to take Michael in a close one, guys. I know a lot this week was going on, a lot in the preview. Our closing song is Closer by the Chainsmokers. Very catchy. It's featuring Halsey. Wish all you guys luck. I truly do. Going to be a good week. Going through my picks again. I'm going to pick Jason over my team. I'm going to go with the Brady Boys. I'm going to go with stupid nickname, team name. Going to go with Butt Buddies. Patrick's team, and dab on 'em.